everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Tribute to Our Heroes. Our next guest is actually the CEO of Honor Brewing, a brewing company out in Virginia. This is a family-owned brewery. The founder is a 24-year Army veteran, and I'm speaking with Mr. Ryan Cage, who is currently the CEO and the son of Alan Cage, the 24-year veteran. Just kind of based on what I've heard from them and just talking to them now, they're an extremely hardworking family, very honest, nose to the grindstone, just making sure to make the best craft beer for the local community and also being able to give back to veterans and women's shelters and many other things. So it was a pleasure to get to know them, to kind of get a glimpse into the world of brewing and kind of the mindset of starting businesses and how veterans can use some of their skills to start businesses. So I'd like to welcome Mr. Ryan Cage. Mr. Ryan Cage, thank you so much for taking the time to meet with me here and to have a quick interview. I look forward to being able to ask you a few things. For the people who are watching and may not know who you are, can go ahead and just give a brief introduction of yourself.
Yeah, my name is Ryan Cage. I'm the CEO of Honor Brewing Company. We're based out here in Sterling, Virginia, not far from Leesburg or Dulles Airport. I've been running Honor Brewing Company, our family business, since 2022.
When did Honor Brewing first start?
So Honor Brewing started in 2014, but in 2012 we actually started as a winery, and then moved into brewing in 2014 because honestly we just realized that it's easier to make beer than it is to make wine. So that's we started then, and then we had to do some contract brewing to get us started, and then roughly in 2020 is when we were approved by the state of Virginia and Fairfax County to be able to have our first tap room, which was the Chantilly.
I always wondered, because I feel like whenever you're like with your friends or like sometimes like a certain family member, there's always like, we should start a business together. We should go do this together. But it hardly ever like actually goes into happening. So I was wondering, like, what was that conversation like the first time that this idea kind of hatched into either your brain or whoever started it up?
Yeah, so that conversation probably happened with my dad and somebody that he was working with at the time. So my dad was in the Army for 24 years. He retired in 96 and he started a different company. He ran that company for 22 years and was fortunate enough to sell it. My brother worked at that company. My wife worked at that company. And they had roughly about 400 employees at the time. You can notice that I didn't say my name because I worked at that company for maybe a year and said working in an office isn't my thing. So I actually parsed out of the family business and went and started a couple gyms in the area. So when Honor started, this was an idea between my dad and a couple of his friends at the time. And then he started growing it the way he wanted to. So I didn't get much involved until later in life. But it was always a big supporter of what he wanted to do, because really what he wanted to do was brew beer and be able to give back as much money to the military communities as he could.
Absolutely. No, and I know that's kind of how I guess we kind of came into contact with one another. We've been doing, you guys have been part of our Hops for Hero program for a couple of years now. I always see your guys' name on the list, and you guys are just one of those guaranteed breweries that we just know that y'all will be a part of. So it's kind of cool to finally get to know you guys more in this interview setting rather than just like, hey, they were just participating with us, I guess my next question would be, so your father served for 25 years, correct?
24 years in the Army. He was a Cobra pilot, and then my brother was in the Air Force for 10. I didn't serve, my mom didn't serve, but we went where they took us, and that was how it was. It was always the four of us until obviously we got a little older and figured out that we wanted our own lives as well. But yeah, I've been a part of the military family for a long time. Even my grandfather was in the military as well. So a lot of connections there, a lot of respect for all of that. Clearly the military provides us our great country and everything that we do here. So any way that I can personally give back and the company can give back, that's what we do. So in 2022, my dad asked me to take over as CEO. I said, not a problem. And then trying to run his vision the best that I can. He's still fully involved, almost sometimes too much. And we have to tell him to take a break. But there's not a lot of decisions made that he's not involved in or based off of what he's laid down as a foundation and our core values and our core focus.
No, it makes a lot of sense, but I think it's kind of nice having I guess there's a balance, right, to running a business with your family members. You know what I mean? You kind of have to find that
It's
professional
a balance, all
and
right.
family, balance.
Yeah, it's a balance, all right. My brother ran Honor for from 2017 to 2021, and then he went back over to work on the other side of some of the companies. My wife works here, so that's always an interesting thing, the balance of going home and just wanting to be normal versus always talking about work. Yeah, it's definitely a balance. I think my mom's the best one out of all of us because she just kind of does her thing and supports where she can, and then she doesn't get involved in too much. So that's
Gotcha. Well,
sure.
You always got to learn from mom, I guess.
Yeah, right.
So I know you had mentioned your father being in the military for 24 years. It's a long time. Y'all are a military family. Did you travel a lot as a family?
So I was a little luckier than some others, I guess. We traveled I was born at Fort Belvoir. We traveled to Huntington Beach, California, West Virginia for a little bit, and then back down here to Northern Virginia. My brother got to travel a little bit more. He's 4 years older. He was born in Germany, so he was all over the place over there. But yeah, so when we moved back to Northern Virginia in 87, 88, my dad wanted to make sure that we could stay in one spot. So he started moving around within the Army and was able to keep home base here.
Keep it here. Yeah. Makes sense. I guess, well, I know you had mentioned that you kind of came on to Honor Brewing a little bit later after your dad kind of got some of the stuff going off. Did you have to learn how to brew like from scratch? Like, did you have any idea how to start it or?
Actually, the funny part is that I took my gyms that I grew from a garage gym all the way to two 10,000 square foot facilities. I just applied what I knew from there on a business side and started applying it here in Honor. On the brew side, I can tell you maybe like the most vanilla version of how to brew a beer, but I've also learned that I put the right people in place because I expect them to do the job, right?
Yep.
So I had to learn a lot quick, and I didn't get a lot of respect, and that's fine. A staff, we're over about 120 employees. So it was something that I had to understand quickly and lean on the people that knew it, obviously, before I could really come to the table with some actual sense.
I mean, that just kind of makes sense, though. If you had like a business prior before, and this is obviously still a business also, but it's obviously its own different type of business. So it seems like you kind of know when to kind of like take a back seat and kind of learn, and then finally come to the table with a little bit more, I guess, opinion and stuff once you kind of get familiar with everything, For
sure. I mean, it's extremely important to be able to delegate too. I mean, doesn't matter if it's me, you, or anybody else. If you're going to only be able to deal with so many problems, you're going to be able to only deal with so many solutions or sign off on so many different projects. You have to trust your team that's around you. And our team has a really good understanding of what our core focus is. And I trust that they can get the job done. Now, that doesn't mean I'm not involved in every aspect of this company, but I have to trust that they're doing the right job, and they are. They all do a really great job.
That's a very good leadership sense. Do you feel like that's something that maybe you picked up on from your father, I guess, being in the military and kind of, I don't know how he was like as a father at home, but do you think that's something that you kind of picked up from him maybe?
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of who I am today is based off of my parents and my brother. I mean, they all taught me different things. Everybody wants to be reactive instead of trying to figure out the solution before being reactive. But yeah, I watched my dad with his company after he got out of the military, and he had, like I said, over 400 employees across the United States, and he was able to delegate the things to the right people. And even at the beginning, I mean, that company started in like a basement, and then he was able to get to his building that he had near the end. But he had to know that there was time to bring in the right people and let them do the job to help that company expand.
Did you feel that your dad's military experience in his own like company that he built afterwards, like, did you feel that his military experience bled into the way he kind of led that company?
Yep, absolutely. I mean, he is the type of guy that would go to bed at 8, 9 o'clock at night, maybe 10. He's still getting up at 3 or 4, and his day's started, and he's just rinse and repeat. So, having that routine and being able to have that communication and structure, absolutely, that definitely has been embedded into me. It's been embedded into my brother and into our families. I mean, this is how it works. We all like to have fun, but there is some of that military lifestyle that still carries now. Like, if I say a meeting's at 10 o'clock, meeting's at 10 o'clock. I can't tell you how bad I felt the other day when I missed our meeting with what was going on. So I don't like that. That's just not who we are.
I love hearing things like that, where like that sort of structure and that discipline that you build, obviously, like can transfer over and people make the most out of it, and they can do stuff like building a company or getting kind of doing their things. I feel like you often hear, or it's kind of more known to be like, people have a hard time transitioning out of the military. You hear that a lot, and it is true, but it is always nice to hear when somebody can kind of take whatever they learn, whether it's discipline or just kind of time management or just communications or anything like that, and they can apply it and then they can succeed in it. That's the kind of stuff I always love to hear about.
Yeah, absolutely. Great, for sure.
Did you guys, when did you first, so I think so it's 2014, you started it up, right?
Yep.
When did you first hear about Soldiers Angels?
So we heard about Soldiers Angels a couple years ago, kind of through the grapevine, I guess. And then we started doing some more research on what you all do and the aid that you all provide and whatnot, which is amazing. I mean, all 50 states, I think it's like 31 countries. Is that right? Yep. What you guys provide is awesome. And, I think from there, I think we did some couple little things, and then you guys reached out for Hops for Heroes. And that's been a great thing for us, and just more exposure, and not necessarily exposure for us, but I mean, exposure for you guys, and in a sense of what you offer and how you guys give back. Honor has been able to give back just last year about $75,000 to $80,000 in different community outreaches, different charities, and so forth. This year, we're pushing anywhere between $150,000 and $200,000, which I mean, for us, that's a significant number, right? We're a company that's still trying to grow. We know what we want to do and where we want to take it. Yeah. That's significant for us, and we want to continue to help out as we can.
Yeah, no, I know when I was going through y'all's webpage and y'all's website, y'all are very pro-military in various different ways, and it's not even just through our like Hops for Heroes program. Like I feel like even if we weren't around, you would find another way to give back to the military community.
Yeah, I mean, we do a charity tap line. So every month we have a different charity that we work with, and we give proceeds back to our number one selling beer, which is our classic lager. And then we do different ways every quarter that we can give back to a little bit bigger, based off of who our bigger clients are within the market. So like Trader Joe's, Giant, Kroger, Wegmans, all these type of companies that are our clients here, customers that they do so well for us, then we're able to kick back some money on that level as well. And most of them are military, but there are other ones that we work with. So like Food Pantry is one of them that's local here, so we're able to get back in that direction as well. And then we do another one for women's abuse shelter that's not far from here. So we are veteran owned, obviously, with my dad and my brother, but we like to give back as much as we can to different community outreach places around us.
Yeah, no, and that definitely is something that just even going through your website a little bit, like you pick it up instantly, and it shows even just reading and seeing what you guys talk about, and then even talking to you, like it really does come through very authentic and genuine. So it's kind of refreshing to, I guess, talk to business owners that are family owned, and they're just you guys are just normal people just trying to make an honest living and give back where you can, and it really does come off that way. So it's always nice.
Yeah, I mean that was Alan. My dad's goal is to make good beer and give back as much as possible. And I always tell him, like, hey, we want to give back as much as possible, but we still got to grow a company. And the more that we grow, the more that we can give back. And it kind of goes back and forth. And, like I said, I've said it a couple times, those are our core focus there. And that's what we want to do. And that's our plan, is to continue to do that.
I guess going back, and this is something I kind of thought of, between you seeing your father like run a business and then even doing this one and then you kind of taking over and then also seeing your brother manage. Obviously, I'm assuming you all have your own way of managing and kind of running things. What are some advice for like any other like veteran that might want to start their own business, as far as like from a business standpoint?
Just I always like to clarify, as a non-veteran, just part of the military family, starting a business, I mean, you got to be ready and willing to get knocked down, because you get knocked down a lot. Mm-hmm. And you got to have the mentality to get back up. And I think that just in the military side, that's a huge thing that is talked about, right? I mean, what the military does for our country and whatnot. I mean, you got to get willing to go and do things that not a lot of people want to do. Mm-hmm. So when it comes to a business side, there are things that there's not a lot of people that want to do it. Mm-hmm. They say they want to do it, or they want to get to the top of the mountain, but they don't want to do all the steps to get there, right? You got to be willing to be knocked down and get back up and dust yourself off and continue to go, for sure.
So I know you had mentioned that. I mean, I'm assuming that mentality of being able to get knocked down and get back up no matter what, that's something that's like in your father, in your brother, and in you as well. I'm just assuming that because whether it's him or you guys are building businesses. Yep. That is a skill, and that's something that I feel a lot of people either just aren't taught about, or maybe they just don't have it innately in them that they'd want to grow. How do you see the vision, so to speak? Like, where does it go from like, hey, if I start this in my garage, eventually I can get it to here? Like how does it work in your mind?
Well, in my mind, I mean, at some point you're always going to get to a level that you can't get past, right? And there's, like I said, there's only so many things that you can do as an owner or a CEO or an entrepreneur that you're going to meet that ceiling. So you either have to find the right people to help you grow in the direction that you want. But to me, there's no, for what we want to do at Honor, we don't have a level of stopping, right? We want to continue to grow. For us, we want to be able to control the state of Virginia the way that we want to, and then start expanding into other states. But we already started diversifying who we are a little bit in a sense of product. So we have our beers, which are great. But we started offering non-alcoholic options. So your NA beers is big, but now we're getting into the CBD and THC realm. So, on a military side and anybody with PTSD, we can drink beers and have a good time, but that THC product might be a better option because of the effects that the THC does and provides for you. So we are constantly trying to evolve before, I'll say, evolution even happens.
I'm trying to ask these questions in the frame of somebody who has that drive to be like, I want to do my own thing, but this is in my way, whether it's, sometimes physical things get in the way, but more of a psychological stoppage. I think a lot of fear holds people back. And it seems like you guys just don't have fear when it comes to these sort of things. Like, how do you manage that?
We have fear. I mean, you got to have leaps of faith, right? I mean, I can tell you that my dad's had some smaller companies that haven't worked out. I've had a cryotherapy company that didn't work out. I mean, you got to be willing to fail. I mean, that's kind of where I go with the sense of dusting yourself off and getting back up. Honestly, I think we live in a world that not a lot of people want to work hard. And that's probably our biggest challenge, is trying to find the right people. And right now here at Honor, we have the right team. And it's hard. And it's I mean, this sounds like a small violin playing, but it's lonely at the top, right? You got to make decisions. They all kind of land on your shoulders. Your team can help you make decisions, or they can make them, but you're ultimately the one signing off on them. And you got to be willing to give the credit to the team, and you got to be willing to take the bad by yourself.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. I mean, there's no secret formula, right? There's just honest hard work.
I mean, honestly, I really don't think. I mean, maybe a little bit of luck. Some chips fall the right way, but no, I think it's hard work and just getting the right team around you.
Yeah, sure. They always say fortune favors the brave. Well, at least that was my ship's motto when I was in the Navy. So I tend to try to think that.
How many years were you in the Navy?
That was 4 years.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you so much for your service.
Oh, yeah, no, my pleasure. And thank your father and your family for their service, too. And I know you didn't serve, but I mean, I always think that like the family does serve as well in a sense, because, you know, they got to follow whoever is active duty. And if they got to go with them. That support
Yep.
system. It's crucial for a lot of our service members to have, like, you know, for their family to be there when they come back, and it can make or break them. So
Absolutely. I mean, even with our mission, right? So when I took over in 2022, our labels were a little bit more, I'll say gung-ho, ships and guns and stuff. And from my perspective, I wanted to soften that image a little bit, because we want to be opening to everybody, right?
Mm-hmm.
And too many times out there that people are going to be negative on the military, but think about how many different degrees of separation of either knowing somebody in your family, a close friend. In some aspects, somebody has a touch to the military side. So we understand that as well, and we are always trying to be as welcoming to every individual that want to walk through our doors.
Yeah, that's awesome. No, I think that's the right approach for any business. Honestly, I think a lot of people miss those simple foundations that kind of just can set you up for success. So, no, definitely.
Crazy thought.
I was gonna ask. So I know you had kind of already mentioned it a little bit, but yeah. What are your future plans for Honor Brewing? Where do y'all want to take this? You know?
Yeah. So we opened our 40,000 square foot facility in October of 23. So this October is going to be 2 years here at what we call headquarters. You know, we built it to expand in our production side. So we want to be able to control anywhere with 7 to 10 states with this location. And when I say control 7 to 10 states, is having a decent or well-known footprint in those states. So right now in 2026, we're looking to expand to a couple more states. But I'm not gonna lie, craft beer sections are starting to get smaller, mm-hmm. right? And they're trying to figure it out. So we have continuously kind of broken that mold, because where everybody's starting to come down, our trend's coming up real hard. Wow. And that also helps with, like I said, the THC drinks and some other stuff we're doing. So more states, more recognition of what we're trying to do, give more money back. Yeah, I mean, we have our 10-year plan to see where we can go. And in 10 years, I'll be 52, and hopefully I can sit back and hand it off to a different family member, or we can figure out what the next move is for sure.
Hey, you're 52?
I'm 42.
Oh, okay.
I'll be 52.
Oh, in 10 years. Okay, my bad. I misheard that. Okay. Yeah.
I know. I look really good for 52, right?
I was about to say, like, man, you look fantastic for 52, man.
Well, I look pretty good for 42.
Bad, I promise. I was curious. I mean, I know Honor Brewing, they said family-owned businesses. You're all involved in some way or another. I know you mentioned your dad is still kind of involved, even though you kind of want him to take a back seat. I've seen that before, where it's like, I need you to go home and relax while we handle it.
Yeah, he's home. He was gone for the beach for like 4 weeks, and he's been back this week, and then he goes back. So yeah, he needs to go back.
They're like, go over there. Yeah. What do you like to do outside of Honor Brewing? Who are you outside of the brewery?
Well, like I said, I own a couple gyms. So when my mornings start, I'm normally coaching at those gyms, and then then we start our day at the brewery. But I have a 16-year-old son. His name's David. I have a daughter, Isabella. She's 14, and another daughter, Lucy, who's 12. That's my time. That's what we do. Other than that, that's about it.
Yeah, fatherhood is time consuming. So
yeah. Well, and
like, I got 3 kids. I was like, oh, I get it.
Yeah, the kids are good and understanding of when dad and mom, because mom works here too, are doing work. So when we have free time, our free time is with them.
Do your kids have any interest of taking on like some kind of role in Honor Brewing? Or do they got their own?
You know, my son likes to be silly and thinks that he's going to sit in this big boy chair at one point. I don't know if that's going to happen. My daughters, maybe. I mean, I want them to make their decisions. And my dad was understanding enough back in 2011, 2012, when I left all the family business stuff and decided to go run the gyms and do my own thing. Mm-hmm. That wasn't an easy thing for him to understand, that I wanted to go do something different and not be a part of what he was growing. especially with my wife working for him there as well. And then my brother being there, my cousins, my uncles. I mean, it was everybody. And I was the lone wolf that was like, nope, I'm out. So for my kids, I want them to make that choice on their own. I don't want to push them anyway and kind of let them figure out life. And I think it's important. I mean, if they wanted to come work here, they need to probably go work somewhere else before.
Strict parenting on dad, huh? That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I'd go on my high horse of 42. I think in our world today, people don't want to work. So then if you're just giving jobs out, I mean, I don't know what we're teaching people. So yeah, especially with my kids.
Yeah, no, definitely makes sense though. I used to work for an AC company prior for me working here. And it was also a family-owned businesses. I think that's kind of why I think I tend to kind of gravitate towards businesses that are local and it kind of like people know each other like that, because I do tend to like the I guess just the authenticity of it. There's like big guy in the high chair at the very top of the building who doesn't know anybody. Like there, everybody knew anybody. Point being is the owner, who was like obviously like older and grandfather, yeah, he had his grandkids working there, but they were like bottom of the line, like in the AC units, like nah, they need to go do that before they do anything else. And I was
I mean, that's important. I mean, my dad taught me that it doesn't matter what position you are, you need to be understanding and respectful. I mean, I'll go down on the production floor if we got new Adirondack chairs that need to be made out for the outdoor seating. I'll take 2 hours and start building chairs. It doesn't matter. Across the board, you're there to help. You're here to grow something. Picking up trash to being in this type of meeting, it doesn't matter. We're all a team. We need to be there for each other.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I do think that company was very stable internally. I would like just sort of how everybody saw each other, treated each other, and kind of interacted. So I do think that for anybody who wants to start like a business and there's just one person, like you said, surrounding yourself with the right people is crucial, and just kind of having that respect and understanding. You see it, and when you're in it, you kind of feel it too. I'm assuming your employees feel that also.
I hope so.
You're like, I hope though.
I mean, I hope so. I can't say for sure, but I believe they do. But I hope so.
Yeah, but success speaks for itself. Y'all are still growing. Y'all are doing good. So I will go off of that metric. That's awesome. Do you feel that beer and brewing are kind of not so much on a decline, but they're kind of being overshadowed by like THC products in type of way, which kind of made you want to go in that direction?
I don't know. We didn't go in that direction because of, I'll say, the changes in the craft world. We went in that direction for the mere fact that, if it wasn't White Claws and seltzers back in the day, it was Twisted Tea and that type of stuff, right? So the evolution of it always is happening, right? But it's kind of funny now, if you look and go to bars, people are going back to like the 1920s and having the old-timey type drinks.
Yeah.
So for us, we just needed to evolve correctly and with where the market was going. But, like I said, we've been around since 2014. And I can tell you from 2014 to 2020-ish, it's not like we did good things. We made decent beer. We gave back as much as we could, but it wasn't what we're at now today. I think it was important to make those changes of where we are to kind of see that hockey stick start to come up.
Yeah.
Right. And, everybody, even as an entrepreneur, people want to talk about like, what's the secret sauce? You have to have some uncommon thoughts and uncommon goals to see yourself succeed in this type of any industry, but, to build a business. I like to think, let's just use, Jeff Bezos. I mean, at some point he had an uncommon thought to create Amazon and nobody thought that was going to work. Right. So you have to have some sort of uncommon thought or an idea to get in place. And for us, I mean, in our area in Northern Virginia, we're one of the first peoples to create a THC drink. So it was definitely uncommon. And we're a company that when I took over in 2022, my right-hand guy who literally just walked into the office with me was a personal trainer at a gym. And before that, he was a Prince William police officer. right? We didn't know shit about beer. So we just started making uncommon thoughts and tried to kind of go from there. You know, our director of logistics, she was a school teacher.
Oh, wow.
There's so many different things here that we are not industry standard across the board. And we like that. We like to be different. So we try to focus more on the people and what the community wants versus what craft beer is telling me I should do.
Interesting way to look at it. Very different, because I feel like most people would be like, I'm gonna start a brewery. Well, what are other breweries doing? Let me try to do exactly what they're doing. And you guys are kind of like, yeah, sort of, but we also want different perspectives.
I mean, our head brewer, we had a couple brewers before him and he learned, but he used to be a home brewer. And he was an Olympic lifter. So like, I'd rather find the people that are willing to work hard and do it together and go through that path versus I'll say the industry person that says, nope, this is how it's supposed to be. And this is what you're supposed to do.
Interesting. Wow. Pretty cool. Makes a lot of sense. And then,
or it's just totally chaotic and it's not going to work. That out later.
I'm assuming that's part of the fun though, right? Navigating the chaos together.
Honestly, it depends on the day.
Yeah.
Depends on the day.
Like certain Mondays, you're like, nah, I don't want to do this.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, it makes total sense though. Cool. I guess that's pretty much all the questions I had for you. Any kind of closing thoughts or any sort of maybe advice for anybody who wants to start a business or anything of that sort?
Yeah, like I said, you got to be willing to get knocked down and get back up. And your uncommon thought or uncommon idea is where I would go with, right? Just because it's weird to everybody else and everybody else is like, it's dumb, you shouldn't do that, or whatever it may be. That's what makes these companies unique. I'm not comparing us to Amazon or anything like that, but at some point that was a thought that people were like, that's not going to work. Shit, our whole country's the whole world's run on Amazon, right? So you got to be confident in yourself. You got to be ready to jump off that ledge and see where you fall, for sure.
Makes total sense. All right. Well, Ryan, I think that's pretty much wraps it up. Thank you for meeting with me, giving us an insight on your mind and how a little bit behind the scenes of Honor Brewing. I think it's always cool to see some of the curtain pulled back over like companies like that. So I appreciate you taking the time. I appreciate everything you're doing for our veteran communities out there in Virginia. I hope y'all expand as much more as possible to keep on spreading all this good that you do for us and for the veteran community. So thank you so much again. And thank you everybody for tuning in.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
And may no soldier go unloved.